Hello everyone, welcome to DC Conversations.
Hi.
Today we are in conversation with Mr. Anas Rahman, who's founder and chief researcher Hurun India. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
So first of all, tell us about Impact 50. Let's start off with that.
Great. Thank you. Part of what Hurun has been trying to do over the years is to tell the story of Indian economy through the eyes of entrepreneurs and companies. And wealth creation wealth creation, value creation plays a very important role in taking the economy forward. Uh, but the next step is to see how this value creation is done more responsibly and how sustainable is this value creation. That's the genesis of the Perpetual Capital Hurun India Impact 50 list. The objective is to try and understand the progress of how India's top corporates are meeting their sustainability goals and try and sort of uh, make the first steps to track it now and maybe in 10 years from now look back and see how much we progressed as a country over the years. I mean, that is the genesis of Perpetual Capital Hurun India Impact 50. And we've taken UNSDG as the primary sort of measuring yardstick, and all analysis is based on publicly available data, which is basically based on the annual reports, BRSR, sustainability reports, and so on. All publicly available filings is what we've taken the basis as, and we've also given weightage to those SDGs that has been identified as Niti Ayoga's priority for India. About 7 of them. We've given penal points to some so-called harmful industries and bonus points to certain other industries that are in alignment with the SDGs. Again, the whole objective is to try and understand what the impact of these companies are from a nation-building standpoint, sustainable perspective. Yeah.
Now tell me what has been the biggest takeaways or highlights of this report?
This is the list of top 50 companies based on our assessment of their alignment on the UNSDG based on publicly available reports. Together, they command a valuation of about $1.8 trillion, the top 50 companies. That's more than the GDP of countries like Canada and South Korea. And they generated a staggering almost $60 billion of profit, these 50 companies, right? So they're all large businesses in that sense. The key takeaway for me is that there is a more and more impactful sort of allocation towards sustainability. That's that transformation that we've seen over the last 3 years, and the climate has come one of the top SDG goals. The reporting has become a little bit more stringent and with timely as well. More sustainability teams have become stronger as well. There's more significant focus from a team standpoint in terms of having sustainability as core part of the strategy. HUL is a number one in the list. Then we've got in the top 10 itself, we got Dabur, Grasim, quite a few other companies. Each of them have their own respective sort of goals as well. So it's overall a great story from a 1 year. These are some of the important takeaways that I could say. Yeah.
So one last question: how much time does it actually take this entire process?
Well, this is the longest. Probably about 6-7 months to prepare a report like this. It's a 50 list, but then looking at a lot of data, so it takes a lot of time to prepare. But even then, I would say that this report is not a complete report. It's not, we will look at only the top 150 companies. I think we should maybe do a look at the top 1,000 companies, then arrive at a top 100 list next year. But we wanted to start somewhere, and this is the starting year.
So from this report, what did you discover? Like, what were the most surprising findings?
I think one, so we put the first report in about 3 years back. So that time, sustainability reporting was just about starting in India. So what has happened in the last 3 years? There has been institutional and structural transformation in terms of how sustainability is being reported and also executed at company level. So that is something that I've seen which has happened in the last 3 years. I think this year, if I have to look at what has really changed, is the if I just split the whole execution of a strategy into design and execution, right? Design and execution. So this year is possibly the sort of the baby steps of how uh, the design is being evolved. I call it the test of design. I mean, that's what this year is. That's what the Perpetual Capital on India Impact 50 gives you, and you can see a clear intent towards meeting these goals that is being present compared to what it was 3 years back.
Yeah.
For example, things like the top 50 companies, all of them has a dedicated sustainability committee now, which is not the case 3 years back. So you have seen some design level changes happening in the country. And mind you, we've only looked at uh, top 150 listed companies in India. I mean, the universe is much larger. This is just an attempt to sort of scratch the surface. Next year, possibly we'll go deeper.
So with over 8,000 crore in CSR spend reaching 200 million people, how do you assess the quality versus scale of the impact?
I think um, uh, um, the 8,000 crores reaching 200 million people, that's around 1 in 7 Indians, right? For a country like India, which is really progressing from, let's say, being called uh, a developing nation to a developed nation, I think the first sort of thing is to make sure that we have channels and process through which the funding gap of the government is met by private institutions. That's what the most important. That's what the CSRs and the NGOs and everyone plays a huge role, right? When a company has a uh, goal of employing, let's say, 50% of their workforce as women, that means you're taking almost half of the society with you. Or if you have if the company has a policy of sourcing most of its procurement from MSME industry, that's like supporting the ground level businesses up. So I think you should look at it more like a flywheel sort of effect, wherein it's not just one thing. I think the first thing is to start the spend and then have structure, systems, and process to ensure that the allocation, time, spend, execution, everything happens across the various goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So climate action leads with 48 companies setting time-bound targets. So what explains this strong cross-sector strategy?
I think climate's a very important topic. I think it's very heartening to see these are all listed large companies, right? It's very interesting to see that these companies have time-bound goals from climate, and it's very important that these companies lead such goals. That'll be inspiration to other smaller companies that are following the path. So if you ask me 5 years back, if you take a CSR objective of a listed company, would climate come on top? Maybe not. Education could come on the top, right? But the very fact that climate's has got one of the biggest sort of scoring in perpetual capital on India back 50 list, it shows it's a good news. I think it will sort of spread down as well. And mind you, it's only top 50. I think ideally I would like to do a top 100, top 1,000 list, but it's a lot of work. But then, but top 50, if it is an indication of anything, it's very optimistic.
So Mumbai accounts for over half the list. Does sustainability leadership still remain concentrated in a few corporate hubs?
No, that's only mainly because we've looked at the top 150 most valuable listed companies, and most of them have headquarters in Mumbai. That's the only reason. I think there's no other. From a perpetual capital on Indian back list, Mumbai is the top because our universe is 150. But from an Indian context, I think we should dive deeper and do a little more elaborate exercise. Maybe next year, if we do a list, take private companies also take into account, right? Not just public. Get all these things together. So, yeah, from this list standpoint, Mumbai is the capital, but we can't generalize and say Mumbai is the hub for sustainability in India.
Yeah. So many companies have moved from commitments to measurable targets. Yeah. So does this mean that Indian industry is actually moving towards accountability?
No, I think going by the list in itself, the list, there is an intent. There is more and more intent towards having a measurable target, and what you would measure is also whether the targets are being met in terms of year-on-year targets being kept. And both have to be done, or else it'll tilt towards greenwashing. So we have to be careful, right? Yeah, there is, and like I said, 3 years back to now, there is a clear intent towards keeping targets and executional resolve to meeting these targets as well. That's clearly evident in some of the annual reports.
So let's hope that this continues and CSR doesn't remain as merely, just a mention on the papers. So this clearly means that it is happening, right?
Yeah. Again, when people ask me a question on, let's say, if the startup industry is doing bad, what do you think it's gone down the tune? Then I always tell them that we should never look at a story from a yearly standpoint, look at it from a 10-year standpoint, how the country has done, right? Just because 1 year was bad, you can't say that, oh, industry is done. Similarly, when this is a positive question in the sense that we're doing great, but I would wait for the next 10 years and see how things have progressed, and then maybe reach a conclusion on how we as a country have done, whether we've done good or bad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.